the Dominion is rebuilding its forces. Now the Borg have reappeared and attacked the Vega colony.
Resistance is futile.
The Alpha Quadrant balances on the edge of ruin. The fate of the galaxy rests in your hands.
Keep firing!
Started by Perpetual Entertainment, Star Trek Online was in development from 2004 to 2008. Perpetual Entertainment, founded in March 2002, was an American developer, publisher, and operator of networked multiplayer games and MMORPGs. The company was best known for its development of two MMOs, Star Trek Online and Gods of Heroes: Rome Rising. A massive multiplayer online RPG with one of sci-fi's biggest franchises seemed like a game that would sell itself. However, the game wasn't able to meet deadlines, and its budget was ballooning uncontrollably, leading to Perpetual's bankruptcy in January of 2008. The license to develop the game and art assets were transferred to Cryptic Studios. However, the code remained with Perpetual Entertainment and its Perpetual game engine. On August 10, 2008, the Las Vegas Star Trek convention was held at the Hilton Hotel in Las Vegas, Nevada. There, Leonard Nimoy and Cryptic Studios' Chief Creative Officer Jack Emmert together revealed the first gameplay trailer, featuring various Federation and Klingon ships in combat with each other and Borg vessels, as well as footage of a Klingon squad boarding a Federation ship's bridge. The release date was not publicly revealed, except that it would be less than 3 years from that date. Cryptic Studios officially announced the development of their version of Star Trek Online on July 28, 2008. Initially, Cryptic announced that there would be neither Linux nor Mac versions of the original launch, though they did not rule out the possibility of later port releases. However, due to the monthly subscription model Star Trek Online had, and the regular cost of premium console online connectivity, the idea for a console port was put on ice for many years. Star Trek Online was eventually released in North America on February 2, 2010, and reached over 3.8 million registered accounts by 2015. A lot of longtime fans of Star Trek Online have called out the game for becoming too bloated with grind content, with a focus on making money while losing the essence of what Star Trek really is. Just pop on over to the STO forums for a quick glimpse at this attitude. It's actually quite humorous. So I asked myself, what makes up the essence of a good Star Trek game? Or better yet, what makes a game feel like you're in an episode of Star Trek? A typical Star Trek episode, talking about TOS and TNG, involves the crew going to a location, scanning some stuff, beaming down an away team, meeting some aliens, a little bit of conflict, maybe some mystery, and then a final resolution. Most of the times, there's also a fun morale choice the characters are faced with, which leaves a strong message about humanity. So, do most popular Star Trek games capture that? Well, kinda. While games like Voyager Elite Force boast great storytelling and exploration, games like Armada 2 have a watered-down story in favor of gameplay. Both are in the top 10 over at Metacritic, though. So it would seem that fans need a game to feel both like an episode of Star Trek, while also having an engaging storyline filled with action. So where does Star Trek Online fit in on this spectrum? Does it live up to these standards? In short, the answer is yes. In almost every mission for Star Trek Online, the player gets a hail from a contact, is sent over to a place where they can scan some things, uncover exposition about the season's plot, meet some aliens, and usually get ambushed by Nausicaans. The mission usually ends after you find the MacGuffin or save the whatever. Sounds like an episode of Trek to me. And there's very few missions that don't have you blowing up 3 to 4 waves of enemies, which has the action piece covered. So why all the hate? After reading countless Reddit and ARC forum posts, I feel like there are two very important issues that fans have. Number one, Cryptic falls through on their promises. And number two, the free-to-play model has poisoned the development of the game. I'll address the free-to-play model later on in this video, so for now let's poke around with issue number one. Has Cryptic continuously fallen through on their promises? In short, no more than any other game studio, I would say. Early release showcases a game that plays just like the one we have today. In fact, the one we have now is better than the beta footage shown in a multitude of ways. Game producers promised a ship-to-ship combat game with 3 main classes of vessels, where you maneuver around space, blow up stuff, and kit out your ship with special equipment consoles. That's exactly what this game is right now, so that's not a negative. One of the biggest lies that Cryptic spread around was the idea of a console port happening sometime shortly after the game release in 2010. And while we did get Xbox and PS4 versions almost a decade later, many felt that Cryptic had just backed out of a commitment. During an interview in 2010, executive producer Craig stated that the game could run on the Xbox console, but there wasn't a proper business model to get members to pay for the MMO subscription and their Xbox Gold accounts. So the idea was scrapped. However, there was a 4-year gap in between the free-to-play model dropping in 2012 and the console release in 2016, so I'm going to go ahead and say that this is a yes, and they did fail to live up to their commitments here. To be honest, I don't know of any other free-to-play MMO that has as much content as Star Trek Online. Yes, I said that. There's a ton of content in this game. You have 7 different play modes, 14 expansions spanning over 130 missions, PvE and PvP light adventures, and a half dozen other more yearly community events. And this doesn't include the 670 plus playable starships, 27 available player races, and hundreds if not thousands of consoles you can use to customize your characters. That's a lot of content. As far as bug fixes go, while I do think that they have gotten better, for a few years there was very few fixes being pushed out in favor of more expansions. All in all, I will give this one a soft pass. The PvP sucks in this game. It always did, it always will, until some major overhauls occur. Cryptic did start dropping some PvP light missions recently where you compete against other players and NPCs in various scenarios. This seemed to kind of resolve the issue for the most part, but overall vanilla PvP has always been a problem in STO. So this gets a very soft negative since they tried to fix it. But we're hoping that they come out with some better PvP action later on. So with all of this information being presented to you, is it possible that fans of this game like to hate it for another reason? Is it possible that this game itself is pretty damn good, but some other outside force is generating this negative buzz? Well, yeah, pretty much it's Cryptic Studios. The hate started after Cryptic slipped in after Perpetual went bankrupt. Many fans at the time felt that this was a slight against the previous development team, and that Cryptic should stick to making more City of Heroes expansions. As the first few years passed, very little content was released, and what was sent out had a lot of bugs. Some game-breaking ones included UIs not responding, mission objectives not updating after you finish parts of your task, graphical glitches, rubber banding, server disconnects, and a myriad of more. So that has 2 strikes against them so far. Then they drop the final big one on themselves. When the game was initially launched, it based off of the typical MMO subscription payment method. It wasn't until January of 2012 that Cryptic swapped over to a free-to-play business model, a move that many MMOs were doing at the time and was widely panned by fans all around. It also burned a lot of players who had paid for the base game and a lifetime subscription pass. And while those players get some in-game bonus items, it did little to heal those now very open and salty wounds. When the Romulan expansion hit in November 2012, there was a slight boost in favorability towards Cryptic and the game, but that quickly dissipated as bug reports were going largely unanswered yet again. Then came the great flooding of expansions. From 2013 to present, we have consistently had 3 or more new content expansions every year. And that might sound great, but if your older content still sucks and is broken, then a new shiny turd won't help people forget that for long. Thankfully now, Cryptic seems to have caught on to this, and around the beginning of 2015, the development team started pumping in more resources into updating outdated game features like the fleet mechanics, research and development, skill tree, crafting, and bug corrections. But as they try to make up for past mistakes, there is still a very large perception that Star Trek Online not only sucks, but is dying. So in case you haven't guessed yet, I disagree with the negative outlook most fans have taken towards STO. In fact, with the kickoff of Star Trek Discovery, Cryptic Studios has even more fresh Trek content to draw upon for future content expansions. Who doesn't want to zip around the galaxy on a spore drive? Well, I certainly do. The bottom line is this: if you like Star Trek, kinda like MMOs, and you've always wanted to destroy Borg cubes in a version of the Enterprise D that you got to create, then just download this game and enjoy it. Remember, it's only free.